in America. So they're more about black businesses, establishing black dominance and empowerment in America, which is kind of like when you see Booker T. Washington and W.E. Du Bois fighting against Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey said, we need to get out of here. And the others were like, well, we need to stay here and get equality and rights and education and jobs, and we can vote and all that sort of stuff and do this in America. But Marcus Garvey, he said, no, we need to separate. We need to go back to our land. Africa is for Africans abroad and right here. And this is the kind of divide and conquer and the confusion that they cause amongst black people when we have strong leaders, but we're not all together thinking on the same page. So just like you have the Nation of Islam, you have the Christian Church, you have the Hebrew Israelites, you have the FBA, you have the ADOS, you have the Black Lives Matter movement. We're all going towards different goals. And this is why we're still not really having any power when it comes down to the other nations. The other nations really don't, at the end of the day, they could care less if we keep crying year after year after year, month after month about reparations. They could care less. As long as we keep doing what we're doing and they keep staying at the top, they're fine. Because all we do at the end of the day in America is we just complain and talk, and we don't put no action behind anything. So, but one of the things that I like to tell people, those that are in certain rooms, and I challenge them. I say, well, what is a $500,000 check? What is a $200 or $100,000 check for every black American or every household? What is that going to do for black people when at the end of the day we don't run America? We don't control the politics. We don't control the judicial system. We don't make the laws. We don't own the businesses. We don't control the money. We don't control the internet. We don't control anything. We don't have our own country, our own state, our own country. We're not sovereign. We don't have our own army. So what is that going to do? When you get the money, where is it going to go? Because at the end of the day, we're all paying bills and paying for things with the other nations. So all we're going to do is insert that money into the other nation's hands. Nothing's going to change. Because in our communities, we see who owns all the businesses. In Detroit, it's the Arabs, it's the Jews, it's the East Indians, it's the Asians, it's all the other nations. So it's a no-brainer. And if you use critical thinking and logic, it don't matter if you're in a city of Chicago or Detroit or Atlanta or Miami or Little Haiti or Chicago or Compton or Oakland, or if you live in the suburbs. When we get a check, 25,000, 10,000, 100,000, 50,000, we're still going to insert it into the economy in the hands of the other nations, and they're going to continue to rule over us. So my message is not only the Israelite message and our identity, is for us to return back to Africa, because at the end of the day, the most threatening thing to America is for us to unify, to know who we are, and for us to return back to the continent and unite with our brothers and sisters over here and start to rise to the top. All right. They know this is the prophecy. It's in the Bible. They know the Bible very well, and they don't want these things to start connecting the dots. And this is why the Hebrews to Negros message is the number one enemy in America, the West, Europe, and even Africa. They understand the power of us understanding who we are, us unifying, and us coming back to Africa and rising to the top. Because once we take back control and power, then they're going to fall. Because you can't have an oppressed people. So you got to have an oppressed and an oppressor. So the oppressed and oppressor can't be at the top together. Somebody has to be, on the opposite side. So they understand when the oppressed starts to wake up and starts to take back the power that they have, and then they don't know they have, then the shift starts to happen. The paradigm shift starts to happen, and they start to lose their power, which they don't want. And one of the things that I'm going to say, when I was in the medical field, or United States military, former ex-forces in the Marines, he said that he had done tours in Djibouti and Kenya and other areas, Mali and Niger. And he said that the other nations, he said when he started military, he said when he came to East Africa, of course he's seen British letters and language, but he said now I see the Chinese language, and the Chinese and these other nations, including Russia and India, and France and Germany and Britain, and the Netherlands and the Dutch, they're all Portuguese, they're all here. And he says, when Africa takes back the power that it has and takes control of the resources and they start to unify, he said, you know what's going to happen? I said, what? He said, war. I said, war upon who? He said, the people that have all these minerals and resources that these other nations are taking. He said, right now, they're just coming and taking like it's a shopping spree, and nobody's, charging them because of the shopping spree. You get your basket and you got a whole hour to go through the whole store and get everything you can, and you leave. But he said that once the black people in sub-Saharan Africa wake up, and if they stop this manipulation, exploitation of Africa, he said the other nations aren't going to like that. And he said that's going to be an act of military aggression towards the people that are in sub-Saharan Africa. And I said, that's interesting. And he says, yeah, he said it's true. He said that the West and these other nations are not going to let Africa take control. And say, for instance, they said, you know what, we don't want to deal with you guys no more. We're going to handle it from here. We're taking it from here. We don't need you anymore. Just go somewhere. We're going to cash you out. Just go back to your own countries. The other nations are not going to be happy with that. And we see around the world what happens when you say no to the United States. If you say no to the United States, like Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein or certain things, you see certain things start happening. And, we have to understand that it's a deeper thing happening around the world. Aside from the Ukraine-Russia war, aside from the Taiwan, China-Russia, the dollar collapse, Bitcoin, central bank digital currencies, the biometrics, is there another pandemic coming? There's more pressing issues at hand. It's just that we can't see it because we're being blinded by the smoke screens and the mirrors. The number one focus that I think that the other nations have is how are they going to keep Africa the way it is, and how do we make sure that they do not wake up. And from the Kyrie Irving tweet, that caused, in my opinion, a heart attack to the people of America, those in control of the elite, and of course the people that were upset with the Jewish community. And we all know the Jewish community, they have power in America. Nobody can say that they don't have no power, no influence in many of the different sectors in America. If that was the case, we wouldn't see the things that happened to Kyrie Irving and Kanye West and other celebrities that simply tweet Free Palestine, or they tweet certain things and now they have to apologize. So when you look at the apologetic factor of Black Americans, from Nick Cannon to Whoopi Goldberg to Kyrie Irving to Kanye West to LeBron James to Dwight Howard to Rihanna to all these different people, Nick Cannon, if I didn't say his name, everybody has to apologize. Everybody, they just have to fall in line, because at the end of the day, the only reason why we apologize is because somebody is cutting our checks, somebody is controlling our money. People that don't apologize are their own boss. When you're your own boss, say for instance Floyd Mayweather, I don't really see him apologizing to anybody. But when you are your own boss and you're in control of your own destiny and your own money, then you can say what you want. You can say what you want and have freedom of expression and freedom of speech, and not have to worry about do I have to apologize after I just said something as a grown man with a thinking brain, and I say something and now I have to apologize in front of the whole world and my kids for something that I said. And so we have to look at these things and ask ourselves, what's really going on here, where people are scared to speak truth? Because at the end of the day, all Kyrie Irving did was tweeted. He tweeted. He didn't say anything. He didn't say not a word. He just tweeted. Press the button, tweet. And that tweet to my movie was enough to cause the news to not cover anything else. That's all they covered was Kyrie Irving. It don't matter if it was a sports channel, it was mainstream news, CNN, Fox 2 News, the Washington Post, the New Yorker, the New York Times, Rolling Stones, all these platforms, were all talking about it. We didn't hear anything else about any other news because that's all they focus on in America. We have to ask ourselves, well, we are thinking grown adults. If somebody wants to watch a movie and determine if they believe in it or they don't believe it, if it's good or it's garbage, then let them see the movie. Let them come up with their own opinion of what they believe of the movie. But don't tell people we're trying to ban Hebrews to Negroes, the movie and the book, from America completely, because they did ban the books from Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, and other book selling digital and physical platforms in America. The only platform that people can still buy the movie Hebrews to Negroes, stream it, they can buy the books, is on Amazon. This is why they're so furious, because once they remove it off of Amazon, then you won't be able to find it nowhere in America unless you go to my site. And this is a problem because we see that Hitler's book Mein Kampf is on Amazon. There's a book by a Rabbi Ramban, Moses Maimonides. He's a famous Jewish rabbi, a sage. And in his book, he compares black people to monkeys. It's on Amazon. The book, The Negro Project by Margaret Sanger, she calls black people feeble-mindedness people and people that are undesirable, people that don't deserve to live. We need to eradicate them. We need to make them extinct. These are eugenics types of talks. Margaret Sanger's book called The Negro Project, it's on Amazon. So there's a lot of books that are anti-black that are still on Amazon. Black people don't petition. Black people don't cry out and say we need to remove these books from Amazon. We need to remove, and the Jews are not saying take down Mein Kampf and other books that are anti-Semitic, but the Jews focus and America's focus, because they're also teaming up with the FBI and other Jewish organizations and calling out people to ban this book and movie. And you gotta ask yourself, well, why is this movie such a big deal? Like, if it's such a big deal, then maybe we need to see the movie and the book before they take it down. Because the title of the book is Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up, Black America. So maybe they don't want Black America to wake up, because that's the subtitle of the book. So we have to look at these things, and it's funny because during the time that Kyrie had did his thing and was going through the aftermath, a lot of people were saying, can somebody help me? What is the name of the book and the movie? Because on the radio and on TV, they will say that book, that film, that book in 2015, movie based off a book 2018 by author. They never said my name. A lot of times they never said the name of the book. And people were like, to this day, they say, yeah,